10, I'd like to call upon our friends from the Wildlife Reserve Singapore with their challenge titled Animal Behavior Recognition System. First of all, I'd like to call upon an old friend, I believe, Mr. Ryan Han, Assistant Vice President of Wildlife Reserve Singapore, to say a few words. Welcome, Ryan.
Hey, hi everybody. So welcome to OIP 11. Let me give a broad overview. Then later my colleague Claudia will run in depth on the problem statement. So can you all see the PowerPoint? Can, right?
Yes, okay, yeah, right, no problem. Yeah.
Okay, so I come from the Strategy and Innovation Department. So under this, we have this transformation office. How it started and why is it so is that because in the next 4 to 5 years, the park is going to expand. So we are moving. The bird park will be moving back. We'll be moving to Mandai, as you can see from the map itself. Subsequently, we'll be building rainforest parks, indoor attractions, resorts, and so on and so forth. So it will be a expense. It will be a plan that it's it will be a very huge expansion plan. Sorry about that. So what we are doing is that in the next few years, we are building rainforest park. We are building, getting the bird park in. We are building the resort, and so on and so forth. So as we do this huge scale of stuff, what we need to do is to have transformation and the ability to future-proof ourselves. So that's why this department is here. And these are some of the shots that you can find online. So under this, we have this Open Innovation Lab that we are looking at two things. One is to manage all these innovation pilots and innovation challenges. The other one, which is very important because as we scale all this tech innovation and so on and so forth, it's important to build the innovation communities and partnerships that we, as this Mandai Open Innovation Lab, we are actually working on. So as what Billy has mentioned previously, we have engaged or we have use or apply this OIP platform for our two challenge under this OIP 10, which we are looking about ways to monitor aviary and also this environmental loggers. So I'll hand over to Claudia to share more about the problem statements that we are looking at for OIP 11. Yep.
Okay, so I'd like to welcome Claudia. Claudia, are you there?
Yes. Okay.
Hi, Claudia. So allow me to just give a short intro to you and as well to WRS. I mean, I know Ryan has done it, but I have to do my job also. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, Claudia Tay, right, is the assistant manager with the animal welfare team in WRS, and she's an animal researcher with a special interest in animal behavior and animal welfare science. So Claudia manages the overall welfare of over 15,000 individual animals and over 1,000 species, right, at WRS. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, WRS is dedicated to the management of some of our very notable attractions, conservation attractions in Singapore. It includes the Jurong Bird Park, a night safari, river safari, and Singapore Zoo, right? So before I begin, Claudia, I'd like to have a question for you. What's the leading entry for the naming the baby panda contest?
Well, I can't be saying that, so we'll find out soon enough.
Okay, I'm just kidding about it. Okay, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome Ms. Claudia Tay, Assistant Manager from WRS, to take away to start the presentation. Welcome, Claudia.
Thank you very much, Billy. Thank you, Ryan, as well. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Claudia. So I'm here to talk about the challenge that we are, posing, which is the Animal Behavior Recognition System. And specifically, it is for the Asian elephant. Right, so Ryan already introduced us, so I think we're fine for this about what we are. So the background of today's challenge. So a proof of concept has actually already been developed for identifying one particular elephant. So her name is Neha. She's a 5-year-old elephant. So she was identified and monitored as part of the first phase. So now we're actually proceeding to the next phase. So to give you further information, this is actually the solution that we had for phase 1. So we use a whole bunch of cameras, and then we actually go through the kinesis, and then using the frames, extract the data and then label them and eventually detect Neha. Right, and then that goes all to the dashboard, and then the keepers were able to see whether Neha was sleeping or whether she was standing. But this came with its own problems. But I'll talk about that later. So just that we have 5 cameras that we put in her back of house area. So this is actually where the female elephants are. So Neha is actually together with 3 other female elephants, including her mum, right? So the problems that we had, so we actually identified some gaps, so 6 altogether. So firstly, when the elephants move beyond a camera coverage or into a really dark location, then the algorithm couldn't detect her. Sometimes the elephants like to cuddle, so then like a tight cluster, then it couldn't recognize Neha. And then when they're occluded, sometimes she likes to hide behind her mom. And then again, if the camera angle was not right, then we couldn't see her. Sometimes they like to stand in the clump. Again, couldn't see her. There were distorted heights based on the camera. Like sometimes it's around the edge, especially if it's the wide angle camera, then we again couldn't spot her. And lastly, sometimes they don't like to sleep on flat ground. She likes to sleep a bit on a hump, on the ledge or something. And then again, it couldn't detect her because this actually used the bounding boxes and a difference in height to identify her. So that's why we had to ask, for this new challenge, exactly what. So what are we looking at? So this is our problem statement. So how can we better monitor the animals, equipping the zookeepers with real-time behavioral insights to provide the right care for the animals at the right time? So what are we looking for exactly? Right? So the proposed solution, it can either extend existing features, which means you can build on the current technology that we already have in phase 1. You could integrate it, or you could even develop another solution that's different from this previous one, right? But the very important thing that you must have is these 8, right? So I need to expand further. There's a reason why they are in this kind of bigger font to smaller fonts. So the most important ones are the big ones. So for the first one about smart elephant tracking identification, solvers can propose any form of sensors or data collection methods as long as it does not place additional stress on the elephants, right? And doesn't disrupt their natural behavior. So the solution should be able to identify each individual elephant. So there's 4 of them all together, and they are in a herd. It's important to note that the elephants should be tracked individually. So we must be able to tell, like, this is Neha, this is another elephant, this is the other elephant, right? So you must be able to identify them separately and also monitor their behavior separately. You must also note that elephants are very strong, very intelligent animals. Using their trunk, they're also very dexterous. They can pick up something as small as a peanut, and they are really strong. So for example, even tiny sensors, if placed on each other's bodies, they can actually take it out. And even if you put it somewhere where the elephant cannot reach it, the other elephants can actually take it. And we've seen them. They are destructive. They can be really destructive, really curious animals. And if you're thinking of, hey, maybe we can try and muck the animals somehow, elephants like to go in the mud. They like to throw mud on themselves. They throw dirt on themselves, and then rub themselves on various things. So it may be a bit difficult to actually mark them. If you want to put some kind of marking on them. So please note that that they can be destructive. They can remove collars, wearables really easily as well. Right. So for this prototype, should be able to track at least 2 other behaviors. So just now I mentioned that the previous solution we could look at standing and lying down, sleeping. So besides that, it would be useful if we could predict other factors of the well-being, so such as walking or swaying, right? So this can be discussed further. And it will also be ideal if the solution can track other relevant environmental parameters, right? For the IoT monitoring dashboard, this should be like a one-stop dashboard. It helps the keepers track, monitor, get on-demand alerts when abnormalities are detected. It should ideally be optimized for both laptop and the mobile handheld devices as well. Right, activity classification is more about providing real-time analysis and interpretation of captured behavioral data. Right, real-time alerts, as I said, once certain preset thresholds or parameters are exceeded, it should be immediately flagged. And for it being robust and ruggedized, I think telling you how destructive elephants can be, and also it could be exposed to the elements. And we also have wild macaques that may potentially play with the cameras or whatever solution. So all those must be noted down as well. Yeah, elephants also like to play with water, by the way. Right. It should also be, the solution should also potentially be modular and scalable, because we do want to scale this up eventually if possible. And this could also not just be for our collection animals, but also for conservation outside of WRS. And we are also looking for support and maintenance, so the ability to support at least 3 to 6 months post POC. And lastly, it should of course be secure. So transmit the sensor information to a central data point securely for analysis. Right. So why should you participate? Besides, you'll be able to help really cool big elephants. There's the cash prize and other incentives as well, like potential long-term partnerships if we plan to scale this in the future, expertise, community of partners, right? And this will be evaluated using this evaluation criteria, different percentages. But all this information is all in the challenge brief, which has more details as well. If not, then Q&A with Neha playing in the water.
Okay, thank you very much, Claudia from WRS, for a very quick and very succinct presentation. So, Claudia, before we go on to the questions in session, the Q&A session, right? I have one question to ask. So, to just help some of our tech solvers out there, right? So, what are some characteristics of elephants that they're allowed to tell them apart from each other? Is it the walking gait? Is it certain features like the ears or the trunks or something? Yeah.
So for elephants, there are quite a few distinguishing features. Although I have to say, with us just looking at them, they all kind of the same. So it could be like height, but Neha will grow up eventually to be about the same size as the rest. So for example, some of our elephants are slightly bigger, and then they have different coloring on their whole body and different patches. And then for their ears, it's like slightly differently shaped. The skull shape, it's quite a lot of differences.
Okay, so we have we have questions coming in right now, fast and furious. So let me go on to the first one. So Anonymous is asking, what is the estimated area to be monitored in this trial? Yeah.
So the area to be monitored is, right now we're looking at the back of house area. So I think I actually showed that. I mean, it's not to scale, of course, but it is quite a big area, but it's all back of house right now that we're looking at.
So it's not in the public viewing areas, it'll be the,
No.
Okay, good. But do you have an estimate roughly, maybe 2 football fields or something like that, or Olympic-sized swimming pool?
Well,
a rough estimate, yeah.
I'm trying to think, right? It's like 2 football fields.
Okay, so roughly about 2 football fields. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Anonymous. Okay, another question. Yes, something I wanted to ask as well. Okay, so what other tracking methods have you tried previously, and why did they not succeed or work? Yeah.
Okay, those are good questions. So besides cameras, we're like, okay, what else can we use? And anytime we try to put something on them, they would take it out. So even like one of our elephants, we tried to put this wearable on her, she took it out. And I think the fun part is sometimes they try and eat it also. So yeah, we've tried different sensors so far. Yeah.
Okay, sounds like it's because of the very rigorous spa routine, right? That's why you couldn't use the sensors on it. So I can't envy them. I know they have mud, they have water massage and so on. So it's very, very exciting. Yeah. Okay, another question from this comes from Edmund from the floor. So Edmund asking, do we have access to the current cameras and all the stored video that you have for your phase 1?
So if part of your solution includes working together with what we have previously, then you will have access to it. But if not, we won't share it right now.
Okay, so basically only if Edmund's solution involves using your old data, then you can share. Okay, I understand that. Okay, Ken. Question from JC Sarkar. I think it sort of builds on what we discussed just now. So JC is asking, instead of camera, can we propose wearables as an option? So I guess so maybe to help us along, can you share with us what sort of wearables do you all use previously? What sort of size or what sort of function that they had? Yeah.
So I think some solutions we are thinking of is like when you tie around the leg, like some kind of tracker, like kind of step tracker that we have. They just pull it out really easily. Even when we try to secure, we try to put on this other thing and we secured it and we thought we did, she still managed to pull it out. And then when it's something very small, it drops off very easily, or another elephant will try and grab it with their trunk. Like it even is at the back of the elephant as well. So yeah, we've tried a few, and so far they've managed to pull them all out eventually.
Okay, so we have a very naughty elephants so far. So JC, maybe you can think of another kind of wearable that that WRS hasn't explored, right, which elephants can't pull off or eat, I believe. Yeah. Okay, so another question from the floor. This is from Anonymous again. Is this challenge purely for the devices and platform to be a fix for testing during the proof of concept period, or does it include ownership of the devices and platform after this period? Well, I think this is a very business-oriented question. Claudia, do you think you can answer this?
How about Ryan?
Oh yes, let's bring Ryan in. Come on, Ryan.
Actually, I'm not too sure what's the question about. Is it after POC the devices belong to the text solver or what? So of course, normally what we do, even for the previous OIP 10, all the devices, of course, it belongs to, because we are paying for that. So technically it belongs to us, like, even after post POC. Yeah, this is how I look at it. So I'm not too sure what you're trying, as in the person who submitted, what are you trying to ask? But based on your question, this is what I can answer, I believe. Yeah.
Maybe I can invite Anonymous to maybe refine a question. We still have a bit of time, so maybe we can refine a question. In the meantime, I have two more questions that I think they're more or less similar. So basically, it's all of, they're both about, I hear a bit of feedback here. They're about the data resources that we have right now. So what are the resources available? And will you be sharing any of the data sets of the elephant behavior with the solvers? Yeah.
Okay. I was like looking at Ryan was looking at me.
Yeah. Okay, long jump pass, yeah.
So I think in terms of the data, we would definitely own it, right? At the end of the day, I think it's quite important as well. But we would be, if you're the problem solver, we would be sharing it with you. I mean, the selected one, because definitely, if not, how will you analyze all the data and all? But yeah, ultimately, it would actually belong to WRS.
Yeah, maybe I can add on. So to give a gist of what kind of data sets we have, previously it was done. I think I also can take this opportunity to address one of the anonymous person who asked about whether it's done by WRS or other problem solver in the past. So the first phase one, it was done by another vendor. So it was using just purely cameras, video analytics. So the kind of behaviors we managed to use the video to, the kind of data sets are, lying, standing, and sleeping. So these are the few that we managed to get. So we can actually identify and understand how long the elephants will stand or lie down, and after that we can determine and predict their well-being. So if you are not feeling well, of course you will tend to sleep longer, and so on and so forth. And to add on, it works, but the problem now we are trying to look at is we want to challenge, we want to push ourselves further. We want to really identify individual elephants, which is a bit difficult to just purely using video analytics. This is what we feel, but we might be wrong. So I think that's why this challenge is being published, or we want to find out, more solutions, seek for more solutions. Yeah.
Okay, so I think this probably answered the question from Anonymous about, wanted to make sure that the newcomers have a chance, with this, because they asked you about, was the first POC done by your other vendor or by yourself, and what kind of shortcomings and all that. I think you more or less answered that, so I'm going to move on to the next question. How many cameras are currently installed? I believe it was about 5, right, Claudia? Was it 5?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so the answer is 5. Okay, it's like a oral exam kind of a thing. I have to test our memory. Okay. Somebody want to ask something about OIP call innovation call 10. Did you manage to get any suitable prototype for your challenge in call 10? Ryan, do you want to take on this one?
For which challenge? Also the same thing, because I'm not sure.
Correct, yeah. So
of this question,
we had two challenges from WRS in call 10. So maybe you can refine your answer further. We'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, but maybe to this question is, yes, we have. We are onboarding the partners now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's answered already. All right. So wow, this is a very hot topic. A lot of questions coming in. So data set, we more or less answered that. You'll be sharing what you can. Okay. Naresh has a very interesting question. Do we need to have a ready-to-go solution for this, or can we build it together with WRS? Yeah.
I think it's maybe too vague. So I'm not too sure what is the.
I think Naresh is probably asking, do they need to come to you with a complete solution, or can they collaborate with you to build something? That means that their solution may not be the full solution, but they will work with you to build it as part of this challenge.
We as the expert to give advice, or we as the hardware and software personnel. So if you are talking about hardware and software, no. because that's why we are reaching out to tech solvers through OIP. But obviously, if you're looking from the expert point of view, Claudia and team can help to to share with all the context of elephants, how they behave, so on and so forth. But hardware and software, no. Yeah.
But I guess what Naresh want to know is that what sort of what level of completion of solution do you expect for them to come to you already? Yeah. Would it have to be 100%, ready solution, or something maybe need a bit more input from WRS to complete? Yeah.
Preferably at least 100%, but of course this is a POC, so we're not expecting 100% accuracy and stuff, but at least a certain degree of identifying individual elephants. That would
okay, so Naresh, I think your solution needs to be more or less there. Yeah, not 100%, but more or less there.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So Edmund was asking a question that we can't answer, how to tell the elephants apart. I think Claudia more or less answered that already, but anything else to add, Claudia, to how do we tell the elephants apart, or how do we teach the software to tell the elephants apart?
Well, I can send a paper on like 28 points of telling elephants apart, so they actually have that, like various tail length and everything. But honestly, for the keepers themselves, the main one they use is more. One, after a while, when you look at the animal long enough, somehow they all look different. But it could be like the size, sometimes it's the behavior, or this patch on one of the elephants or something. But there are, as I said, there's this paper that look at various identifying marks for the elephants. So could share that also if you want.
Okay, wow, we have a couple more questions, but in the interest of time, I'll try to summarize as quickly as possible. Okay, let's see. One anonymous asking, whether are they allowed to, are you willing to allow them to use the same cameras in your current phase 1?
Can. So maybe I'll address. So the vendor that has helped us to install the cameras is still there. So I think what we will do is that we will link up with the previous vendor, and after that, y'all can take on from there and use the video. But of course, it has to be, onboard you and so on and so forth. But right now, we are not able to do that because due to, back of house stuff that we cannot really share much. Yeah, unless you're onboarded.
Okay, so if you're a finalist, then you get a good chance of getting all these answers from Ryan and Claudia. Okay, let's quickly wrap this up. I have a couple of more questions to clear through for WRS. It's a very hot topic. Maybe we'll invite you guys to actually visit the forum on the OIP portal, right, to pursue questions after this session. But just a couple more. Let's see. Naresh asking another one. Do you have thermal sensors and thermal cameras on site already?
No, so right now there are no thermal cameras. They're just normal cameras, not infrared. I mean, you can see at night, yeah, but it's not thermal.
Okay.
Can I just add on to this? If you are thinking about thermal, yes, you can. But the problem is what Claudia has mentioned earlier. When there's something new at the premise, the elephants tend to be curious. Like if you have a fur kid at home, same thing. They'll be curious. They will try to play with it. So that's why all the cameras are being installed way beyond their height and their trunk length. So it's high up. So you need to be mindful about thermal. We explored before, but we understand there are some distance challenges. Yeah. Then so this might be helpful for the person who is asking just now. Yeah, about thermal.
Okay, I'm going to have time for maybe just one more question. And for the rest of our friends, if your questions aren't answered, right, don't worry. You can actually post your questions for Ryan and Claudia, right, in the OIP forum that's on the OIP portal, of course, at, www.openinnovation.sg. Okay, this one last question, I believe, should be, all right, I think it's from Benjamin. I think it's something that I think a lot of people are interested in. So, Benjamin is asking, right, I think Claudia mentioned that you're not able to identify the elephants using video, right? Is it largely due to the low light conditions?
Okay, so the reason why we couldn't identify the other elephants is because what the previous solution was that the algorithm would actually draw bounding boxes around each of the elephant, and then using the height or the length differences, they would identify Neha, because she's smaller than the rest.
Okay.
But then the other elephants are about the same size, so they couldn't tell the other elephants apart.
I think for Benjamin's point, maybe to highlight, reiterate again, the video can identify elephants, but because most of the elephants are about the same, so now we want to push further and we want to identify individuals. So it's how to do it. Yeah, but in the video analytics part that we have done, it's able to, based on the field, yes, but individual, that's a bit difficult and challenging.
Sorry, can I just end with one question from me? I just want to ask you guys. So if this challenge goes ahead and you have a very successful prototype, right? How would you expand the use of this prototype? Will you use it, for example, to track pandas, for example?
So across our collection, we have many animals, and definitely we're looking at a lot of their behavior. So if this could be used for more than just elephants as well, we will also definitely look forward to that solution. Or it could also be pushed out for other conservation efforts. So it could be maybe even identifying wild Asian elephants. Like that could also be a possibility.
Wow, that's very exciting. So look, it sounds like if we do get this going and we do have a successful prototype, it could be the first of its kind in the world. And this will put Singapore really on the global map for conservation. So thank you very much, Claudia and Ryan, for your great presentation and answering the flood of very hot questions for you. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have more questions for the team, you can actually post them on the OIP forum once again at www.openinnovation.sg. There will be a forum to post questions related to every challenge that we have in Innovation Call 11. So welcome your questions to be posted there as well. So thank you once again, Ryan and Claudia. We'll see you soon, probably next week, I think.
Thank
so
you.
Have a good afternoon. Thank you.